Howdy folks, Zethios here, and welcome back to Tyranny. Let's look through some missives, shall we? Alright, so we sent him exchange of information, and so this is his reply. You have me under Mark's blade. I possess only scraps regarding the archive, fragments gleaned from oblique references across a dozen texts. Sages sought a way to preserve all knowledge they collected, yet have it easily accessible to those they felt worthy of their secrets. I found no relatable references to what solution they eventually settled on. There certainly exist indications that they implemented something. Several documents intercepted over the years, same as some as recently as the Conquest of the Tears, make reference to sages bearing their discoveries to the Vellum Citadel as tributes to be paid. The Silent Archive. The manner of which they wrote of it, I half expect you to tell me that the archive is a living person, some sage volunteer kept alive, or else in a state of very like life, through the guild's arts of preservation and healing, their mind forcefully filled to its borders with every stroke of ink set to parchment, compelled through sigils of domination to reveal what they know to those bearing secret signs. I enter the realm of speculation, I fear, for we have exhausted what little evidence I have. Keep me in suspense no longer, Zethios. What became of the archive? Um, you can tell me we destroyed it or that we never found it. So Regalius again is someone that we've been pretty coy with. If we tell him we never found it, that seems unlikely. That's like a terrible lie. We can tell him we destroyed it, and that could be a lie. But tell him that we have it is a dangerous thing. The voice of Narat already said that he was like wanted to try and like keep it secret that we have it, like telling Tunon about it, because apparently we're not supposed to have it, or no one's supposed to have it. Then like admitting to having it is a bad idea. No, we never found it is a bad idea because that's a terrible lie. We can say that we destroyed it. Alright, so I consign the knowledge hidden in the Silent Archive to the Flame as per the Overlord's restrictions on forbidden knowledge. Surely you expect nothing less of me. Yeah, we'll do that. Alright. And then... So this was about... We asked about the edicts when we could ask about the edict or the spire, so we got the edict question first. And boy, do we have a lot. Salutations. It is difficult to separate fact from superstition when it comes to edicts, as it seems only Kairos knows how it all works. The rest of us are left to live in fear and ponder it all. Kairos' edicts are a sort of magic above and beyond even the Archons. I dare say the edicts are stronger than Kairos, as there's no evidence Kairos can willingly stop an edict once set into motion, which is in part why Kairos' edicts seem to have an until or unless clause in their wording. I know the edict, as powerful as it is, requires a human voice to complete the casting. Thus the Overlord has people like you proclaim edicts cast far from the Imperial throne. The magic is Kairos' magic, but the human voice is the final carrier or trigger to complete the magic phenomenon. And here's what's most fascinating, at least as far as you're concerned. There have been dozens of mortal agents who have been made to proclaim edicts. 2/3 of them die within a decade, and many gave reports of lingering mystical scars from the ordeal. There have also been a handful of resolve or break an edict. These until or unless clauses get fulfilled from time to time. And we see a similar pattern in history. Those who resolve an edict often live short lives, and many speak of arcane side effects of the shattered edicts. Here's where you're unique. To the best of my fact-finding, you are the first to proclaim and break the exact same edict. Whatever mystical power is involved in the creation and destruction of such magics, you're the first to stand in the terminus of both. Now that I know the spires can be awoken, it makes sense that if anything can or would wake them from slumber, a shattered edict seems a likely culprit. Kairos has other edicts in place throughout the tiers. If you truly wish to learn more, perhaps you should take it upon yourself to shatter those edicts. After all, if Kairos did not wish for the edicts to be broken, why include a termination clause? Alright, now we're going to ask about the spires. Alright. It seems wise to know one's own domain, and seeing as I'm now the master of Mountain Spire, I ought to learn all that I can. You would share with me what you know of the spires, I would be in your debt. I'll start with what I know and have observed so far. The Mountain Spire seemed to be awakened at about the same instant as Kairos' edict of execution was put to rest. There was a burst of arcane energy that drowned out my senses, and I awoke at the summit of the spire in what seemed to be just a few heartbeats of time. Atop the spire is an old sculpture of sorts, and it seems to be the core of the spire's mystic energy. I've been seeing visions and receiving sensations from the sculpture. It seems odd to describe it as talking to me, but that seems the closest analogy. Am I first to report such things? There are other spires elsewhere in the world, correct? Alright, and then Fatebinder, you clearly remain woefully unpracticed at the fine art of setting insults to paper. We shall lock away the page you sent for the day when we require evidence of your impaired judgment and lack of impartiality. Brother Tunon should find the revelation intriguing, don't you think? With indescribable fondness. Voices of Narat. Okay. Alright, so we gotta go and talk to Zethios and Company. Let's do so. And be snappy. Make it snappy. Alright. Alright, we're able to come through. You again, what is it you want? Glares at you with intensity and purpose. Mourn your fallen nation, die with it, or come on behalf of the Scarlet Chorus, deliver terms of surrender. Yeah. Surrender, her eyes narrow as her hands trembles around the hilt of her blade to these madmen. Just as it would seem her blade were about to leave its sheath, a voice booms from behind her. Stay your weapon, soldier. We will hear this visitor's terms. Zethios, the unbroken fighter, looks pale and worn. His demeanor has begun to show the horrors he's witnessed, but he wears every scar and concern twitch with a veteran's dignity. Zethios, captain of these troops here in Trapper's Junction, and to the whole of the Unbroken. Captain of what's left of us, anyway. I've buried a lot of good soldiers over the last fortnight. You can hardly consider this our full strength. He looks back at his camp with evident doubt. I've been in the storm too long to hear much news from outside it, but word of mouth has clued me in to your features, Fatebinder, he nods. A little preoccupied dealing with Kairos' armies to deal with Kairos' dignitaries, if you don't mind. Jagged Remedy and his chorus gangs are giving me a headache of edict-like proportions. Seems to be the problem. That should be no mystery to you, who pledged fealty to the voice of Narat. No doubt you witnessed your share of recruitment horrors in the past. The gang in our shadow has hunted us for weeks, launching surprise attacks in the middle of the night, starving us, bleeding us dry, and hoping that we will finally give in to conscription. We may not be as strong as we were in the days past, but we can still put up a good fight. My only fear is that our next will be our last, and that our days are numbered. Much as I hate it, it's starting to look like conscripting with the chorus our only chance of survival. I'm surprised that you're still here. What are you doing? His steadies you and shakes his head. This wasteland is our home, believe it or not. We have centuries of history and tradition wrapped up in this place. Kairos' storms could level homes and weather our monuments into featureless nubs, but the sons and daughters of Stalwart are here to stay. As what we're doing, should I give up all our secrets to the voice of Kairos then? Suffice it to say, we're taking our lands back from your overlord's army, but it's something of an uphill battle. If I joined you in camp, I might be able to offer a more informed opinion. He studies you for a moment longer and shrugs. That's fine. If you keep a civil tongue and your weapons to yourself, you're welcome to accompany behind the defenses. He moves to return to camp and waves you inside. He pauses and glances over his shoulder, a momentary gleam of hope in his eye. Come speak to me in private when you have a moment. Your coming here might be useful. Right. Alright, let us in. So we can loot the place dry. Here we go. Camping supplies that we can't take. Alright, while it looks quite uncomfortable, there's no doubt that this rust-covered makeshift tent can survive the worst weather in the tiers. Look at that strap.
Maybe you found something. Or maybe you've not.
Smack it. Orintus. We got iron, bronze, rain, and another swig of insight. We got some fruit. Right, shields and armor line the outside of this makeshift tent, offering further protection from the unbelievably unforgiving environment. Alright, so here's our talk. Our options are limited, or don't you understand that? Zethios stands before an equally impressive warrior. Both appear to be almost near blows, caught in a heated debate. Only limited by your short-mindedness. The other warrior turns to you and glares. And now you dare to welcome a Fatebinder into our midst, Orintus. Charmed, I'm sure. He spits at your feet and steps forward, taking a challenging stance against Zethios. You already sold out our brethren to Kairos' lapdogs. Is everyone in the tiers always disagreeable and confrontational? Is comparing the size of your sword just the way you pass time out here? It's a wonder they even have time to breathe. Very true, Siren. What would you have me do, Orintus? Send our weak and wounded and slaughter again? His outburst echoes off the canyon walls. Should we send our children next? How much of our blood must be spilled before this rebellion is satisfied? We'll continue listening. I'm not going to butt in just yet. Not with those comments. Orintus takes a step back, breathing heavily. All of it. This is what the leader of our great rebellion would have said. But I'm afraid he must be counted as a casualty in this war, like the rest. How many enemies must we collect? Our goal has always been to take back Sentinel Stand, kill the last regent, and end this blasted edict. Possible task by any standard. Losing his composure, Zethios grabs a handful of wind-borne rust and hurls it to the ground. So we can... With the mess you make, and see why the Scarlet Chorus had such an easy time tracking you. There's no time to lose control of yourself, Captain. Your soldiers are listening. I don't know how these are helping. I mean, I understand what this is. Alright, let's continue listening. How are we supposed to fight those favored in the Scarlet Chorus at the same time? Your pride would leave us forgotten and buried in the wasteland of our country. Joining the Scarlet Chorus is the last opportunity to get what we wanted out of this war. If vengeance is all you seek, then maybe you belong with this bloodthirsty dogs. Don't assume that the rest of us will be joining you. He just walks off, shaking his head in disappointment. My apologies for that. Orintus lost as much as anyone in this war, and his reaction is about what I expected. Surrender is a kick in the teeth, but it may be all we have left. I have led this rebellion since the waning days of the war, but my foes grow more numerous each day. The disfavored, the chorus, the regents, and now I must ask you, Fatebinder. Do you approach this camp as ally or enemy? We'll say this. You have an ally to Unbroken here should you need one. I'm only too glad to hear it. A battlefield can seem a friendless place, even in the company of one's countrymen. Groups your arm and smiles. Welcome to the fight to reclaim Stalwart. As the sons and daughters of Stalwart, this struggle is our heritage. I didn't think you would make it your affair. Enlighten me, Fatebinder. What brings you here? War has damaged the realm enough. Here to rebuild. Yeah. Fix you in a critical frown. The Blade Grave is hardly a place to find roving idealists, but I'm not above accepting a helping hand. Our options here in Traverse Junction are slim enough as it is. At least we share a common goal. The Unbroken and I are already hatching a plan to breach Sentinel Stand. You're welcome to join in the glory of our return. All that stands our way are the Scarlet Chorus forces in the area. They're trying to conscript my soldiers, and damn, they're not a persistent bunch. Turns to the fire beside him and nudges it with a log, sending up a cloud of embers. Our real troubles began with the victory of Sentinel Stand. Instead of facing Kairos' force in the field of battle, last Regent Stalwart decided to barricade the keep and look after himself. When Kairos proclaimed the edict, cursed the Regent bloodline for their stubbornness. Yeah. Maybe I shouldn't speak too freely about our troubles, the war, this chase around our homelands. You can probably tell that it's taken a significant toll on me. My soldiers and I are half mad from hunger and exhaustion, mad enough to entertain the idea of conscription. His expression withers with distaste. Any questions? What's to be done about the regents? Just the one regent now. Mateus frowns and toes the dusty earth. Stratus Herodin is the lord of Sentinel Stand, the great fortress at the heart of our realm. The last member of the regent bloodline. Edicts of Storms will persist until he dies. I can have him willingly or unwillingly. Herodin would have been charitable if he had killed himself at the edict. He adhered to the realm in truth, but instead he's chosen the coward's path. Cruel as it may seem to end his life, to end the edict, the storm has claimed more lives by far. The Unbroken will do anything to see it finished. You release a heavy sigh, even conscript with Scarlet Chorus, it seems. How do you plan on breaching? Soon we get the chance to cross the wind wall against Sentinel Stand. Around Sentinel Stand, we'll simply blast the walls to rubble, he frowns. It's not actually that simple at all. Our alchemists have spent the last several months experimenting with powders and oils that can loosen stone or weaken fortifications. They came up with something far more dangerous, a powder that explodes on contact. So it's too chancy to carry it to battle, but too good to pass up on a siege breaker. Alright. Let's glare. Joining the Scarlet Chorus is my favorite option either, but try and understand my position. Tries to meet your relentless gaze, but turns away in fright. I don't exactly have my pick of good choices. Maybe it's better for us to survive alongside those barbarians than die here like dogs. He released a heavy sigh. Even if we're conscripted into Kairos' army, we could treat it as an opportunity to strike back at the disfavored. I don't blame Marintus for his stubbornness, though. The Scarlet Chorus haven't exactly made the kindest of offers. I'm not convinced myself, but the sign of their good intentions helps sway our opinions. If we knew with certainty what they wanted, that they wanted to take us alive, my women would be more inclined to surrender. Alright, so what do you have in mind? A fair number of us were captured in the last scuffle. If the Chorus were to release those prisoners just for good faith, my Unbroken here would be more amenable to the idea of conscription. Admitting it out loud brings some color to Mateus' cheeks. I'll see what I can do. If you manage to make any ground, you'll know where to find me. He tries to appear optimistic, but his enthusiasm wanes. I think any small gesture will make me more inclined to trust the Scarlet Chorus, but I have doubts where my countrymen are concerned. He shakes his head. This war will get worse before it gets any better. Alright, we got a sword over here. Imperial Fine Falcata. Alright. Let's head over here. So, Urantus, alright. Fold his arms and tighten as you approach. Urantus, formerly the personal guard of Regent Hapsia, at least before the war, made short work of her. Now I run with Mateus and what remains of true patriots. I don't need a reason to kill you, servant of Kairos. I stay by sword until Mateus gives the order. Tips his head to the soldiers around camp. If you intend to conscript us in the Scarlet Chorus, I can assure you that these men and women are ready to die. Tell me the regents. Ruling family for Kairos came and dismantled the order and organization of the realm. One of them died. There's one more regent still kicking. Yep. Sons and daughters. Alright, I guess we have to make this option. I don't like that option, but we have to say it in order to progress. Survival at what cost? Live outside of Kairos' authority. Wouldn't expect you to understand. We value more than our masters in whatever arbitrary system of law they impose. We have more to lose, but we risk everything to protect it. Sorry you don't see it that way. Yep, well.
Sorry, I
Yeah.
can't.
Alright, let's see. We still have that option to betray alliance, because I am really close to seeing it. Alright. Tell me about yourself. He pointed his arm. What is he doing? Learning. Lack of gore from the wound. I'm hoping to make a breakthrough of pain tolerance. Best lessons are self-taught. Ugh. Alright, what do you want out of the Blade Grave? What are you doing before you cornered them? What do you know about the Edict of Storms? Yeah. Blah, blah, blah. Sorry going through some of this, but some of this is just like stuff that I don't... So I guess the Unbroken might be swayed if you release some of your prisoners. Give up my prizes. Those are the best of the lot. Among the finest specimens I've taken of late. I wouldn't dare part ways with them. The ones I don't keep for my studies are going to the Voice of Marat. He taps his chin to consider. The chances are fair that we'll just conscript him anyway. Once our intentions are clear to the rest of this group, I don't want to risk any of these prisoners slipping through my fingers. Zethios is one of his intrepid officers could dispatch them away to seek help. How about just the Iron Walker? What? Who's the Iron Walker? How about just the Unbroken prisoners? How do you plan on convincing them? Ultimatum. I'll tell the Unbroken. Reinforcements are on the way and they'll arrive to take no prisoners. All will perish. They're also survivors. They'll choose to live out their days wearing red if it meant keeping the heritage of the old sorrow alive or a semblance of it. Plan won't work. Perhaps they would in that case take up their weapons, move on from this blast area, and hunt another. We'll need to swell the ranks, but we can't waste our time worrying about dozens while hundreds are going to work clean. What is the Iron Walker? These two managed to survive an onslaught of Scarlet Furies. They're worth twice their countrymen. The most hardy I've seen outside of Ash's Legion of Scythes. They're the most likely to flee Trapper's Junction to form the rest of the Unbroken. The Iron Walker? These were twice the iron he wears around his body. Shakes his head. You must realize that it's rare to the point of impossible to capture a higher officer in the disfavored. Okay, so there's a disfavored officer and they have two deal. Alright, let's go back to, how about the Unbroken prisoners? And the rest of Mateus' crew must be the strongest to have survived this long. So over the questioning frown. I suppose a fighter as experienced as yourself would know when they've met their match. Fine, and Unbroken may go free in exchange for the conscription of the greater unit. Just your good faith will have to do. Alright, so they're gone. I really want to go back on the second playthrough and just like freaking do the betray alliance thing. That seems like a part if you stick with like Scarlet Chorus, all that whole thing. I really don't like the option of having these guys conscript. I just want to like help them out and go to the fortress. Brother and I have returned to us. I don't know how you did it, but you managed to reason with Scarlet Chorus. Shows the course more reasonable than I thought. So be it. If Scarlet Chorus are willing to show us good faith, we will turn ourselves over to their mercy. We couldn't take Sentinel Stand as Unbroken. There's still a chance to liberate Stalwart from the oppression of the region and this edict. Oh, this is a problem. Verintis strides in wearing a despondent frown. Chorus spared our soldiers. The Fatebinder here ensured that they will keep their word. The doom that visited these canyons may soon subside. Come and share this small victory, Verintis. You're impressed that a gang of liars spared a handful of us so they could lure the rest of us, our fighting strength, with false promises when your future gang boss is branding you with a sigil or cutting your face or speaking out of turn. I hope you remember this blind optimism. Your confidence in the Scarlet Chorus disgusts me, Zethios. They pay you one fair turn and you buy into their war as an eager conscript. I can't tell if you're desperate or just a liar. Alright, rule under Kairos is the only piece this land will ever see. I think it's something we'll say. Peace on Kairos' terms. My ancestors would have fallen on their swords before they saw a day when Kairos' banners decorated Sentinel Stand keep. Past the harsh clear pace. Any leader of mine would have been prepared to do the same. Turn to the soldiers. Stand with me if you wish to fight as children of Stalwart and die fighting those who would take our land and bury our customs. Fatebinder, you divided our coalition with empty promises. If not by my authority, then by my right as the son of the Unbroken. We will not leave Trappers Junction alive. Eurytus, this will be the end of us. You take up arms against the only allies within reach, the only ones who could bring down the disfavored, and his speech slows to silence as soldiers square off around Eurytus. Many of the Unbroken follow Eurytus' example and stare you down, drawing their weapons one by one. Taea's followers anxiously take defensive postures. All the while, Eurytus crosses his arms and regards you with a smug grin. All you've done here is divide the Unbroken. You have no one to blame for yourself. Everyone stand down. Still time to talk this over. I didn't come to fight. Leaves you all for me a little choice. So be it. What's one more mass grave? Oh boy. Alright. Let's see if we can stand down. Still time to talk this over. Was there time to talk when Kairos' forces marched on our borders? No. It's never about negotiation with you filthy imperialists. We won't allow this to descend into another prolonged stalemate. Sons and daughters of Stalwart, take down these would-be saviors who would sell you out for petty vengeance. Let us restore this country on our terms.
Destroy them!
Oh boy. Big fight. Alright, well. Where's the javelin? Where's the javelin? Tightness. Yeah, go ahead. Alright. 3.
Stop dodging strike from rending claws!
Ow. Alright, give me... How close does this dart have to be? And just throw it there. Alright. Stampede.
On my command.
There's nothing. Felt nothing.
Well, that didn't go so well for them, did it? Alright, we're gonna have a talk after this. Yep. Eurytus was a good officer, damn his eyes. We served together for a long time. It's too bad he got caught up in the country's old sense of honor. Old sense of humor. Old sense of armor and lost sight of what's important, survival. Oh gosh. One more corpse to step over on our journey to greatness. He would have served Chorus better alive. It's a pity. I'll go with you and tell the gang boss who's been hounding us that we're willing to join now. He swallows. In spite of everything, I hope we don't lose ourselves in their ranks. I hope Stalwart. He trails off, fighting his tears. Man, oh man. Oof, that's tough. Tough. Rennis's notes. Notes are hastily scribbled to show a tenuous grip on literacy. They describe the relentless conscription efforts of the Scarlet Chorus gang as they chase the Unbroken across the Plague Grave. The notes include many references to Dauntless, the relic sword of the Unbroken, and many ill-fated attempts to find the blade. There are some crude drawings that resemble a map of the Plague Grave with a sword drawn on the eastern section of the old walls. Cool. So we got a new place to potentially go to, if they'll let us go there. Alright, so be pleased to hear this. So we do have to talk to him. Alright, so we'll do that. Alright, Jagged Remedy. Nice job. You managed to get a good number of them to join, and less of them died than if we went with our usual methods. Voices and Rock clued me into your mission. With Matthias absorbed into the ranks, our final prize is Amelia, the wayward daughter of Graven Ash. Sentinel Stand is the seat of the old stalwart regent, the ruling power of the realm. Amelia has been seen since the second year of the conquest. If she's alive and in stalwart, I'll wager she's there. Since Mateus knows the region, I'll have him meet you there to go over your next move. He grins. I'll send him with a chorus escort, so he gets properly welcomed into the ranks, if you get my meaning. I'll cooperate under one condition. I want to get inside Sentinel Stand and kill the last regent. His downcast gaze lifts with a modicum of hope. We fought for vengeance against Stratus Harridan in the end of this edict. Even if I no longer raise my sword under an unbroken banner, I would see our work done before I succumb to the chorus. That's acceptable. You have a deal. That isn't your decision to make. The voice of Narant wants the Edict of Storms to remain and plague Graven Ash. For the time being, we have no cause to kill Stratus Harridan. However, I can think of many reasons why we should take control of Sentinel Stand, not least of which is to cure Ash's wayward cub Amelia. He sighs. Mateus, are your wishes granted, but only if you cooperate and do as we say. Then it's settled. Once we breach Sentinel Stand and oust the old regent from power, I'll submit to the voices of Narant. Meet me at the wind wall outside Sentinel Stand. It's important that you see what we're up against before we decide the next steps. Alright, so investigate Sentinel Stand's keep. If we go up here, we'll be able to head towards it. Let's head towards that, get out of this crappy area. Hello. And, where to next? Trapper Junction, outskirts, Sentinel Stand. You have the infested old walls, where there's a sword. We'll go to Sentinel Stand first. Don't know we can't go to the outskirts. Don't know we can't go to other places, but hopefully we'll be able to get there when we get there. Alright, nothing new to talk about with anyone. And we got big walls and stuff. So we will start the siege infiltration of the fortress next time. So, till next time, this has been Zethios signing out for now. Bye, folks.